But let's move on to the next overreaction that I want to talk about. Ryan, is it an overreaction to say that the Rangers and the Angels could both win the AL West?
Absolutely. Of all of these that we're doing, this is the one I'm most confident about. However, I do think both teams have a chance at the wild card. I had the Angels in preseason as being the third wild card team. I think that third wild card team is wide open, but I still have my faith division-wise in both the Mariners and the Astros. With the Rangers, their offensive production has been very encouraging because it's coming from everyone but Seager and Semien. Those have been their two worst hitters who have been consistently in the lineup for the first 6 games. And their pitching, DeGrom had a great start the other day. I was at that game. Before that, DeGrom had a bad start in his first game, which they won anyway. They beat the Phillies, who we just talked about. So they are encouraging to where they're at. And I think there's a chance, maybe a better one than I thought, that they're a playoff team, because they sweep the Phillies. They did lose 2 of 3 from the Orioles, so I think over 162. I don't know if they're deep enough as well to be a team that is kind of beating up on teams they should win, and kind of teams that we think are similar to them. They're not going to be dominating those series, obviously. And as for the Angels, I think we know what the Angels are. They have potential with the top of that lineup with Trout, Ohtani, Taylor Ward. Excuse me. They have guys that can carry the load offensively, Hunter Renfroe, but outside of that, they're not the greatest. And pitching is always a big question mark. Their starters are very solid. I'll give them credit for that. They've been good throughout the first time through, but they have potential to have their starter go 6 innings, 1 run, and be up 2-1 when they come out, and lose 4-2 because the bullpen blows it up. So we saw that, I think, the first game of the year, Shohei went 6 shutout or 1 run, and they lost that game to the A's. So I think there's still a chance that both those teams are playoff teams. But as for the Mariners and Astros, the Mariners, it's a bit of a concerning start. They lost series to both the Guardians and then the Angels. So props to the Angels for beating one of the fewer division series that they'll get this season. Those are going to be important come kind of the stretch of the season, August, September. So it's a bit of concerning start for the Mariners. I still have belief in that roster. And the Astros is kind of just a weird start, but for some reason it's not concerning. It's pretty similar. 3-4 versus 2-5. The Astros 3-4 versus the Mariners. Pretty similar starts, but for some reason it's not concerning to me. They split with the White Sox. They lose the series to the Tigers. I believe, both of those were at home as well. So it's a bit of a weird start, not being able to take care of business, kind of things we're accustomed to with the Astros, but for some reason that one's not concerning to me. I still have my faith in the Mariners and Astros to still win this division. So I think saying the Rangers and Angels have a chance is an overreaction.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that this is still the Astros division. I'm not concerned about their slow start. I mean, we've seen teams that have previously won the World Series have slow starts to the season. The Mariners, I am not concerned about, but I'm also not quite as confident in. Like, I would say, I'm 95% confident that the Astros will bounce back. I'm probably like 80% confident that the Mariners will bounce back. I mean, the Astros, we have seen it year in, year out. The Mariners, they just made the playoffs for the first time. So I'm not saying, it's a foregone conclusion that they're going to bounce back, but I still feel confident. So I think I agree. It's an overreaction that the Rangers and the Angels could win the AL West, but I do agree with you as well that you should be encouraged by their starts to the season. And I think that they are still both potential wildcard teams, but I think wildcard is kind of the ceiling for both of these rosters because they're just not as deep when you talk about the Astros and the Mariners. When you look at the season so far, I'm probably a little bit more excited and encouraged by the way the Rangers have been playing as opposed to the Angels. But I do want to see these teams play against some competition when that competition is playing well. I mean, the Rangers got the Phillies, who we just talked about, who've been struggling. The Angels started the season with the A's, and then they got the Mariners, who have been struggling. So I want to see these teams run up into some real competition. That first series that they play against the Astros will probably be a big one, and the first series they play against each other will be, a very telltale sign about, who's going to be this third spot. Because I know that we argued, I think I had the Rangers, you had the Angels, right, for third place in the AL West, and so it's going to be really interesting to see them play for the first time. But I am encouraged by the way that these two teams have looked so far. I mean, the Rangers were dominant in that series versus the Phillies. Their offensive approach was amazing. You had DeGrom shoving against the Orioles, and the Angels, despite that weird opening day loss where everyone just making the Angels jokes after game one, they've gone on to play pretty well since then. And I don't think people are talking quite as much about the Angels because everyone kind of just assumes that they lost the game one the way they did last year, so they're not going to be good again. But they have had a good start to the season, and I do think that they are a team just like the Rangers, which we both said in our preseason preview that they could push for a wild card spot. And I think you like the way that the early season has looked for both teams.
Yeah, definitely encouraged, and like you said, ceiling is wild card, and with the American League, I think they'll both be around low to mid 80 win teams, and that might be enough for the third wild card spot, but there's no way that both teams make the wild card in my mind. I think the Mariners are still one, the Yankees or Blue Jays are still another, so I think one of the Angels and Rangers could get it. I mean, the other teams that would push for them, Twins, White Sox, maybe Rays or Orioles too. So there is a lot of competition for that last wild card spot. But I think the Angels and Rangers are in that conversation for competition. And I mean, we definitely don't want to overreact on an Angels start because a couple weeks later, at this time last year, probably about a month into the season, maybe even further, the Angels were playing out of their minds and they were at the top of that AL West for a while, and we were like,
can they win the division?
Maybe not even an overreaction to say that there's a chance. People, and I think we're lumped into people. We're saying this could be a team that wins that division, and kind of because we were both a little bit lower on the Astros going into the year to start, and to kind of see the first month of the year kind of confirmed our suspicions. We were like, okay, we're geniuses. And then I think the Angels went on a stretch where they lost it was 11 plus games in a row.
Yeah, I think it was even more than that.
Yes. So, I mean, we definitely don't want to overreact on an Angels team. They've been playing well, so it's encouraging. Obviously, you can't fault them for playing well, but if you're going to say they're going to be really good, there's precedent to say maybe slow down a little bit. We need to see a little bit more from them.
Yeah, and we've seen this from the Rangers too. I mean, not like we haven't gone and banged the drum for the Rangers and then they've let us down, but they haven't been good in a long time, and a lot of people think like, hey, maybe this is the Rangers' year, and then it quickly gets shut down. But I think it is encouraging to see the way that they've opened up the year, and especially going against the Phillies, the way that they won those games where they had those big offensive rallies. I want to give some shout-outs to Mitch Garver, Josh Young, who both have 2 homers each. Players I want to hype up on the Angels as well. Logan O'Hoppe, who was a guy that I thought we should have mentioned in the American League Rookie of the Year race, but didn't. He's 8 RBI so far to lead the Angels, coming up with those clutch hits, has a 140 WRC+. And Mike Trout has walked at a 28.6% rate so far this year. So he's leading the team in WRC+, but he doesn't even hit the ball very much because he is just taking the walks. Eventually, teams are going to realize they have to come in the zone against Mike Trout, and he's going to pound the baseball. And so healthy start to the year for him so far, and like to see the way that those two guys have been playing. And so just wanted to hype up some players before we kind of got out of this discussion. But I think I agree, overreaction to say these teams are going to win the AL West, but I am encouraged by the way that they have started. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to give us a like, leave a subscribe, and hit the notification bell as well. You can follow us on all of our social media pages, as well as check out these videos around me for other content from our show.